It is the end of the World Cup road for one football legend, while one of the best feel-good stories of this entire tournament continues. What's up? I'm Adrian, and thanks for stopping by. Hey, shout out to all of the people that joined for the stream as well. That was the biggest stream in the history of the channel, around 10,000 people at one point. Thanks for coming by. We'll definitely do it again for the semi-finals. All right, let's get into it. Whew. Wow, history was made in this match. Yes, of course, I am sad that Portugal went out after the excitement of that Switzerland match, but I feel happy knowing that they will likely be turning a new leaf, and Portugal has a ton of talent coming through the ranks that will not only be in their prime at the next World Cup, but there are fringe players who can develop into genuine talents by 2026, guys of the ilk of Antonio Silva, for example. So now that that's out of the way, let's talk about this match. Like I said in the preview, if Portugal scored first, then the entire dynamic would change and Morocco's entire gameplay would have to change, wouldn't it? Despite missing two important players in Aguerd and Mazraoui, they were as assured as ever in defense, really limiting Portugal to few opportunities in that first half. They surrendered possession almost completely. Portugal had 85% possession in the first 15 minutes or so of the match. It was crazy, but their organization is so good under Regragui. I mean, this guy did win the CAF Champions League. He's a very accomplished manager. After things had settled, however, Morocco began to come into this match a lot more. And beyond João Felix's diving header from a free kick, I think they actually had the best chance, which came from a set piece. A free header right in the middle, and it was put over the bar. I gotta say, there was a theme in this game of Portugal's marking looking very disorganized when it came to deliveries from wide areas. Pepe and Ruben Dias were often marking nobody or looking a bit confused as to where they should be at times. Perhaps that's nerves, perhaps a lack of organization, but I think it's also a credit to Morocco's attackers and their movement in the box. And that was sort of a harbinger of what would come in this game. Portugal creating chances, having some half chances like the deflected João Felix strike that just went over, Bruno Fernandes having his cross slash shot cannon off the crossbar, etc. But with all of that said and done, Morocco had the better opportunity still in the first half, I find. And with a mistake from Diogo Costa, En-Nesyri was able to launch himself through the air and head into an open goal for 1-0 Morocco. Diogo Costa is typically so good for Porto, but he was a little shaky on that one and at previous times in this tournament. He was caught in no man's land and wasn't helped by Ruben Dias' false start as well. He barely got off the ground. And so with a great leap from the physical force that is Youssef En-Nesyri, Morocco took the lead. And we know what happens once Morocco take the lead. Scratch that. We know what happens when Morocco just play in this tournament in general. They do not give up many opportunities, and they have an answer to everything else. Only they can score on themselves. That own goal against Canada, you'll remember? Because other than that, they haven't conceded. Hell, they didn't even concede in the shootout against Spain. They're in that kind of form defensively. Santos tried to make changes in the second half to take this game on a different course, and they were changes that I really believed in. Anyone who was there for that live stream, every change he made, myself and Filippo called out at halftime prior to that. Cancelo coming on with Ronaldo to make the most of Cancelo's deliveries in the box. I mean, that makes sense. Ruben Neves, no idea why he even got the start ahead of William after a great performance from William against Switzerland, but we move on from that. He was out alongside Guerreiro. Later, Vitinha, Rafael Leão, and Ricardo Horta were all brought in, and while there were chances here and there, they all paled in comparison to Pepe's toward the end of the match. I feel for the guy because he has been a warrior once again for Portugal. He even contributed with a goal against Switzerland on top of how good he has been defensively, rolling back the clock time and time again for Portugal. But that miss at the back post towards the end of the match, that will haunt Pepe for a while, won't it? For Cristiano, he came off the bench and was okay. His movement in the box was pretty good, but again, on the ball. Some loose touches and passes. A decent opportunity one-on-one with Bono that I would bet Ronaldo converts if this was a few years ago. Even through having a man sent off for the final 6 minutes, Morocco managed to hang on and become the first African team ever to make it to a semi-final. I'm sad for Portugal, but happy for Morocco. Their defense is insane. Defense wins tournaments, and they are well on their way to the semi-final. They have guaranteed that they will finish in the top 4 out of 32 teams in this tournament, and they'll have another tough match soon, as they will face... What a match this was. I thoroughly enjoyed this one, as both France and England played a solid game. England in particular impressed me, as I found they were the most consistent throughout the match, but when France boasts the players that they do, they are capable of magic now and then, aren't they? Some of the magic arrived via Aurélien Tchouaméni, and he hit a strike that Portugal's Eder would be proud of past Jordan Pickford. Not much of a run-up at all. He swiveled and struck it with venom low to Pickford's right, a banger from distance from the Real Madrid midfielder. From there, England started to liven up. In fact, they didn't go through too many low periods throughout this match, did they? They looked quite consistent throughout. And while Southgate's anti-Mbappe plan was rightfully laughed at in the media, for the most part, it had worked, for the most part at least, he was still an incredible threat every time he got on the ball, as, you know, players of his caliber are. The way he outpaced Kyle Walker in the second half was crazy to see. But I think Southgate deserves his flowers for setting up England very, very well and pushing France all the way. Questions of a penalty in the first half when Upamecano was incredibly clumsy and tripping Kane, but the referee didn't bite on that one, and I think that was the right call in the end from the referee. For England, they did indeed get a goal back thanks to Harry Kane converting from the spot. That was a penalty and rightfully given. Upamecano and Tchouaméni both giving the referee tackles to consider within the same play, and the referee was right in awarding it for Tchouaméni's tackle. Kane did well from the spot, brilliantly taken penalty, and it was then set to 1-1. Like I said, very good match so far. France and England continued to look dangerous in the attack, with England having much of the ball and France happy to hit them on the counter. I mean, who wouldn't when you have Mbappe and Dembele on the wings, right? But the goal would not come from a counter for France, as a corner would be initially cleared by England, but Griezmann would find the ball at his feet once again, and his ball to the near post was nodded in by Giroud as he wriggled past Harry Maguire. What a cross, and another goal for Giroud, who cannot stop scoring at the moment, can he? A very, very different tournament from his 2018 showing, where he didn't score a single goal. Now, England had a chance to get back into it when a moment of madness from Theo Hernandez saw him shoulder barge Mason Mount from behind. No idea what Hernandez was thinking there. There was no reason to do that, really. My goodness. I was amazed at what I was watching. In this match, when your team is winning, why? But anyway, Harry Kane steps up after hitting what was one of the nicest penalties in a World Cup of mid penalties, up against his Tottenham teammate once again, and what does he do? He hits an absolute balloon to the moon, a truly poor strike that shows that this really is a game of margins, isn't it? A little too much power, leaning back a little too much, and that's the difference from his first to his second penalty. I feel like he changed his mind midway through or something, because penalties are a mental game, and I'm sure people will mention a Tottenham player, bottling it, haha, and stuff like that. I'm sure he won't be able to escape that. Marcus Rashford was reminded of how it's a game of inches as well, as a late free kick gave him the opportunity to convert from the edge of the box. He had Hugo Lloris completely beat, but he just put it above the bar. England cannot take the chances that were handed to them. Even Harry Maguire came close with his header, but they performed valiantly. Look, I was always of the opinion that England had it easy in their previous two major tournaments, and I stand by that. They essentially played the entirety of Euro 2020 at Wembley in front of their own supporters, while avoiding the top teams in the tournament, and they lost when they met a true contender in Italy, even just barely in a shootout. In 2018, they had the easiest path to the final, and they fell when they met a true contender in Croatia, and then they lost to Belgium, also twice. In the preview, I said to you guys, they have a chance to prove it. They have a chance to show us that they are really at the level of the top teams in the world, and at this point, we can say that they are very close, but not quite. France are through to the semifinals once again, and they will take on Morocco, which will be a very, very, very interesting match, won't it? All right, guys. That will be all from me here today. I need to get working on my semi-finals preview for you guys to set the lay of the land up for you. Not that you need it, as most of you have been following the tournament very closely anyway, but still, thanks again for watching. It's always appreciated, and we'll go again tomorrow morning. All right? Ciao.